just let's go to fuel, Bob.
Fuel.
You've said over and over again that the first need is to secure essential services. At the end of February, for my viewers, let me say, 2021, it's not long ago, national diesel fuel stocks stood at 21 days in this country, petrol at 32. When Chifley talked about introducing petrol restrictions during the war, we had fuel reserves sufficient for 3 months. Now, at any one time, there are 45 tankers on the high seas bringing crude oil and refined product to our refineries and bowsers. 90 tankers call at Australian ports each month. 60% of our daily liquid fuel consumption comes as imported refined product. And even the 40% which comes from domestic refineries comes from crude oil that we have to first get here from the Middle East. So 90% of all liquid fuel, crude and refined, is imported. But Bob, now we see China's aggression and expansion, which could lead to conflict in the South China Sea. If they were to block the movement of our crude and refined through the Torres Strait, where would we be?
Almost all of our fuel comes from Singapore and South Korea. If they embargo fuel, and Churchill effectively embargoed Germany in the First World War, and it touched off the First World War. In the Second World War, we know why Japan went to war. America cut off a fuel. No question about it. In the monument to the Second World War, they said they got off our petrol, we had to go to war. And the European war was about Hitler trying to get to the oil fields, Stalingrad. So, Alan, can I say something? You as a football coach, and you know, arguably the greatest football coach in the history of the game in Australia. I'm talking about rugby and league. But I remember you telling this story about Gary, no, I won't mention his name, but Timmy Brasher. And the decision you made. You know, Robbie Katter, so I've told this story over and over because you had to make a terrible, tough decision.
That's it.
And you made it.
Yes.
A senior cabinet minister in the ALP cabinet, successive cabinets, he asked to see me because he's backing us on this field. And he said, Bob, the problem is, before I could even sit down, they will not make a decision. Politicians today will not make a decision. See, you had to make a decision on Timmy Brasher. And as it turned out, it was a brilliant decision. But he could have blown up in your face. You're dropping the Australian fullback and putting a nobody in there. But you did it. But these people have never, ever been in a position where they've had to make decisions.
Well, then, just what about the electricity industry? Why would we be selling parts of the electricity to China?
Can I say to you, and this will probably shock your viewers, but I asked the Parliamentary Library to do the research. It would seem that China owns over 40% of the Australian electricity industry. Now, that does not include that silly glass business on your roof. And remember, every time you put that glass on your roof, as my wife has done, you take a job off an Australian coal miner and you take a job off an Australian power station worker and send those two jobs to China. And if you're happy with that, well, I'm not, I can tell you. And you're on intermittent power. And if you think you're not going to see the lights go off, trust the people in Germany. They nearly froze to death.